Coming up on this very special festive edition of the My Moneycast, we'll be taking a look at the best-selling Christmas toys this year. We'll be discussing how to make sure that you can enjoy your festivities even if coronavirus is causing some changes. And we'll be talking to someone from a wonderful project helping care leavers enjoy their Christmas this year. It is 6 o'clock, slightly new time, but it's still the same old My Moneycast by MyBank. That's right, we're back for a special one-off festive episode of the My Moneycast by MyBank. Whether you're celebrating Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or whatever it is you choose to celebrate at this time of year, welcome to the show. We're going to be talking about some ways to uncancel your festivities. But first, introductions. My name is Nick Smith-Patel. I'm the head of education for young adults at MyBank, and I look after the Moneycast shows. If you ever want to find us on social media, you can get us to all these places. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch TV if you're watching live, and of course YouTube. If you ever want to get a hold of us for any reason or send us a message, you can do that by sending a message to info@mybank.org. That's info@mybank.org. But you can just put it in the chat, and we're here now ready to take questions and answer anything you have live. So without further ado, let's get going and let's start with the news. Okay, let's get into the news. So first of all, let's talk about Currys. Currys had some issues over Black Friday with gift cards being spent on the site and taking the balance off, but not putting the order through. And Martin Lewis had to get involved and kind of say that they had to give the money back. Now it turns out that if you placed an order without a gift card, just a normal debit or credit card, there's a chance that your order may be cancelled and you won't be able to necessarily get the same price as you got on Black Friday. We're probably going to see Martin Lewis speak a little bit about this because I think he'll probably take up the case. But just a kind of heads up that if you ordered something from Currys over Black Fridays, either with a credit card or a gift card or a debit card, to double check your order and make sure it's still on the way, because there is a chance that it's been cancelled because of a glitch and you may not be able to get the promotional price again. So do double check. Next up, the National Lottery has changed the age at which you can play. Historically, you could play the National Lottery at the age of 16. However, they are going to be making a change so that you can only play once you turn 18. We have a quote here for you from Nigel Huddleston, who's the Minister for Sport, Tourism and Heritage. And he said, "We're committed to protecting young people from gambling-related harm, which is why we're raising the minimum age for the National Lottery. Patterns of play have changed since its inception, with a shift towards online games, and this change will help make sure the National Lottery, although already low risk, is not a gateway to problem gambling in terms of people spending too much money or being broke because they're spending all their money on scratch cards and lottery tickets." So what do you think? Is 16 old enough to gamble? Should you be 18? Have we got it right this time? Let us know in the chat or send us an email. Finally, we're going to talk about Lego, because this year, for the festive season, Lego is apparently the most requested toy from children. And we thought, well, let's have a look and see how much money could you spend on Lego. And we found some really expensive stuff. So first of all, you could opt for a Bugatti Chiron for £330. A little bit cheaper than a real Bugatti, but obviously doesn't go anywhere. If you're not into cars, then maybe you're into Harry Potter. You could buy a Diagon Alley kit for £370 if you could find them in stock. Who's buying £370 Lego kits? Finally, if you've got big money, you could buy the Colosseum, which is a whopping £450 to buy brand new. So Lego, the hottest toy of the season, but also potentially very, very expensive. And that's our roundup of the news for the festive season. We're going to keep on going and get straight into the big topic. Okay, so for the big topic for this episode, there can only really be one big topic, I guess, and that is how do you uncancel all the festivities this year, given all the stuff that's going on around us. We're going to talk about three areas. We're going to talk about gifting and the kind of traditional, like, giving your presents. We're going to talk about food and ways to make that kind of cheaper. And then we're also going to talk about New Year's celebrations and getting together and how to make some of those things work. Some of these tips are about money, some of them are about alternatives. But either way, one thing to say is try and make the most out of this very random Christmas, New Year kind of period. All right. First and foremost, let's talk about gift cards. Number one thing to say about gift cards, do be careful with gift cards. If a company goes bust, gift cards tend not to be honored because they have to pay all the suppliers and all their kind of back end people first. So if you know that you want to give some like gift card or cash to a friend or family member, then you've got some other alternatives. You could take a prepaid Visa or MasterCard debit card, load some cash on. You can normally get them from like post offices, but you may have to pay for that. The other alternative, of course, is cash. Cash in an envelope works. Although if you're sending money in the post, do remember it's not a good idea to send actual cash in the post. You're better off with a check or a postal order, which you can get from the post office, which is much, much more secure. Now, the other thing to say about this time of year is that this is when all the counterfeit goods and all the fakes and all the scams start to come around as well. So do make sure you're checking prices and making sure that it's not too good of a deal, because if it's too good to be true, probably is. And the other thing about this time of year is that eBay, Amazon, those kind of shops where actually normal people can sell, not just retailers, you might find that there are some offers of things that are just too good pricing. And it might be that you never get the item. It might be that you get a fake or a substandard item. There are, for example, stories you might have heard about PS5s going missing on delivery and being replaced with bricks. So do be careful. And if you do end up in a situation where you haven't received something you're meant to, make sure you chase it up. Don't be afraid to call them up and say, where's my stuff? If you paid for delivery and it hasn't come by the date of delivery, you may be entitled to getting the delivery cost back. And if it's cost you money to wait for the redelivery, there are ways for you to recover those costs back as well. There's some sample letters on the Money Saving Expert website, which might be useful for you there. Now, let's say you are going to buy some presents online, but you're going to go to a normal retailer. Well, have you thought about Pouch? Pouch is a internet extension. It plugs into your web browser, and it helps you save money when you shop online. I've got a quick video to show you how it works. Here we go.
Time searching for voucher codes that you either can't find or don't even work? Then listen up. Introducing Pouch, a free tool that saves you time and money. Pouch automatically finds and displays the best voucher codes while you shop on over 3,000 UK sites. Just visit joinpouch.com and in 2 easy clicks, download to your desktop for free. Press Pouch to reveal the best valid offers for the site you're on, copy and paste the code into your basket, and enjoy your discount. It is that simple. Save time and save money. Never search for a voucher code again. Visit joinpouch.com now.
It's an interesting service. I mean, the idea of having all those voucher codes in one place, you don't have to search all the corners of the internet, is really useful. But actually, I used this year. I booked a holiday to Mexico, which unfortunately got cancelled due to the whole coronavirus thing. But when I was going to the end of the process, there's a new feature that isn't in that video. When you have that box where it says enter a coupon, Pouch now has a one-hit button. You push that button once and it tries all the different codes all at once into this box to see if there's one that works. And if it does, it finds the best one for you and then applies that code. So really clever stuff, Pouch. Free for you. They make their money on the commission they make from the companies you're buying from. So doesn't cost you a penny, saves you a penny. It's worth trying. And if you are going to buy from Amazon, maybe something to think about this year, there is a thing called Amazon Smile. Amazon Smile is the charity kind of arm of this. And the way it works is you sign up to Amazon Smile, you shop on Amazon Smile like you would normally on Amazon. It's the same stuff, same product, same prices. The difference here is that whenever you buy on Amazon Smile, the charity you select gets a cut. So MyBnk is on there. If you want to help us, you can choose us as your charity, but you can also choose any other UK registered charity, I believe, to benefit from your purchases. So if you're going to buy on Amazon anyway and you want to help out a charity, sign up to Amazon Smile. I have. It's very, very easy. And the products are not different prices. They're the same price as normal. Okay. So those are a few things about gifting. I mean, the general thing to say about gifting is it's not about the money. Research shows that a lot of young people prefer experiences to actual gifts, things that they can talk about afterwards rather than show people afterwards. But have a think about whether or not you want to spend all that money this year. You know, you might have to prioritize who you buy for. You might have to do some homemade stuff. It's absolutely fine, okay? Money is not the be-all and end-all at this time of year. So make sure that you find ways to kind of keep everyone happy, but not make yourself broke in the process. You've still got 2021 to get through yet. Don't end up 2020 breaking yourself for 2021. All right. Now, the next thing to talk about is food. Now, first of all, some of you may be in a bubble, have to be isolating in the household. You may be stuck in different parts of the country if you haven't managed to get home. We know that there is some restrictions around meeting around Christmas time, but if you are stuck in a kind of communal house, why not see about a communal Christmas lunch? It's invariably cheaper to pool your resources and do one big lunch with all those people than it is to try and do separate lunches for everyone. Now, obviously, this depends on how well you get on with your housemates and whether you've got that kind of relationship, but maybe something to consider is pooling that money together between you and putting on a nice spread rather than you having to try and buy dinner individually. One turkey each is a lot of turkey to eat as well. That said, about turkey, try and avoid the usual meats. Turkey prices go up towards Christmas because everyone wants turkey. So chicken is viable. My wife and I, we normally go for steak because Aldi and Lidl, really good prices on their red meats. And I can get a steak dinner for a lot less than I can get a turkey dinner, even if I do all the trimmings. So it's not, I might be talking in a way that people go, no, you can't do that. It's turkey and it's Christmas. But if it doesn't bother you, maybe try something else this year and maybe look at alternatives to those turkey meals. Might be a little bit cheaper because they're not the traditional and no one else is trying to find them. Be creative with your Christmas. It's a weird year. You could have a weird Christmas dinner. I think that's fine. Now, the other thing to say is that you should always try and freeze your leftovers. It's a number one money-saving tip when it comes to food. Things can be stored for quite a while in a freezer. You may not know this. Let me pull this up for you. This is a grid of different when to throw out food states, okay? And the big thing is, if it's in a fridge and it starts to smell funny or there's old, like moldy stuff, get rid of it, all right? If it's a perishable and it's opened, it should be thrown out after 7 days, so like milks, that kind of stuff. If you're using eggs, that kind of stuff. But you can see here on the grid, if you've got things like meats, like poultry, raw poultry, you can hold that in the freezer for up to a year, potentially, with some pieces. 9 months for your fillets, but a year for a whole kind of turkey or chicken. And once you've cooked it, you can still hold it for up to 6 months. 3 or 4 days if you stick it in the fridge. So one of the things you can do this year to save some pennies is make sure you keep freezing those leftovers and using them. Boxing Day lunch, you may have heard of Bubble and Squeak. Essentially, that is a leftover dish made to make the use of all the leftover vegetables from Christmas dinner. So you can save some cash by banking all the unfed, all the food you haven't eaten over Christmas Day and having it for Boxing Day in the next few days. Spread it out, mix it up, save some cash. Finally, for the food thing, I've got one last tip, and that is check out YouTube. There's so many different tutorials from both big name chefs and kind of channels that just want to kind of give you some information. One thing I will say about checking YouTube for tips, be careful with 5-minute cooking tip videos. A lot of them tend to be fake and don't work the way they're meant to work. If you're going to go on YouTube for tips, stick to people you know can do the job. You know, go and find a Gordon Ramsay video or a Jamie Oliver video. Find something that's going to show you how to effectively cook your meal rather than taking a shortcut. But YouTube is great because you can learn all this stuff for absolutely free. And some of these videos are made to cook along. So you play, you cook, and then you kind of pause as you're doing stuff. It's a perfect way to get a meal cooked if you're not normally that good at cooking. And I have to admit, I'm in that bracket. If I have to do a Christmas dinner this year, YouTube and Google are going to be my best friends. All right. The other thing to say is don't stress too much about having a big, lavish Christmas dinner. Are you happy with it? That's all that matters. Doing it for the gram is great, but doing it for the gram when you're broke is not always an option. So make sure you've got a Christmas lunch or dinner or a festive lunch or dinner that suits your needs and doesn't break the bank. It doesn't have to be super, super fancy. Okay. Now, when we talk about food, we normally think about getting together, and obviously that's going to be weird this year. So there might be some restrictions to that, but if you are stuck away from people that you care about, have you ever thought about playing games via Zoom? So Zoom, as you know, will give you 40 minutes for free. There are a range of things you can do on Zoom. So you can find websites that have online games that you can play. There's Air Console, for example, where everyone can watch via Zoom and play on their mobile phone. Personally, I like Jackbox games. These are Jackbox games. What you do is you sign in with a mobile phone with the code in the corner, and then everyone can play. And they're party games. So, for example, with the one you're seeing on screen now, The Devil in the Details, the idea is that you just basically do bits and pieces around the house, and then everyone guesses who doesn't do the right thing. There are drawing games. There are games that are like Cards Against Humanity, all that kind of stuff. So if you want something a little bit different, maybe have a look into Jackbox games. You can buy them relatively cheaply on Steam, the PC shop, for about £7 or £8, and hours of fun. If you want to play Jackbox without paying for it, twitch.tv, and if you search for Jackbox, you'll find loads of people streaming their Jackbox so you can play for free. You don't have to pay anything. You just watch the stream, get your phone out, free game. If you send that Twitch link to all your friends, you can all play together. So games via Zoom might be the way to go. And in the same kind of vein, there's also things like virtual escape rooms and stuff like that. So I'm a massive escape room fan. I did one during the last kind of semi-lockdown, so not the big lockdown, and I had to wear a mask, and it was fine, it was okay. But I've done a couple of virtual ones since, and they're amazing. So you can get things for as little as like £3 or £4, where they send you a load of puzzles and stuff, and you print them out. The coolest one I did was they had a guy in a room with a camera, a GoPro, and they just made him walk around the room and follow my directions. So there are things you can do online together, virtual escape rooms, but also There are box sessions. Now, this is a weird thing I've never really seen before, but it's a great idea. The idea is that you go online and you find a session that you want people to take part in, and then you buy a box of stuff, right? So, for example, it might be how to make a certain meal, and the box will contain all the bits of the meal. And then you normally do that in conjunction with a lesson. So you can book a lesson with someone online. Everyone gets the box and then everyone does the lesson together, which is a great idea. Now, the other thing about box sessions is that normally the contents can go through a letterbox. And here's one of the things you might be thinking about this year. How do I get my gift to arrive on time? Especially if you're watching it today on the 10th and you haven't got very long to get all your stuff out, right? Well, there is an option called letterbox gifts. Letterbox gifts basically fit through your letterbox. So there's no issue about, is it going to be delivered on time or not? It's great. It's wonderful. Range of stuff here. Obviously some alcohol, but also things like how to look after yourself and like get well soon kits and stuff like that. They can be a bit pricey, so if you're looking for something a bit different, maybe some box sessions to work together, or a letterbox gift just to send someone you love a kind of hello, how you doing. You can also find hampers and the kind of like as well. Last thing I want to talk about before we move on to our final section, Real Talk, is New Year's resolutions and a saving challenge for you all. So I made a New Year's resolution about 6 years ago, that I've kept forever, and that is to never make a New Year's resolution. It works. It absolutely works. But if you're the sort of person that does make a New Year's resolution every year, think about your money this year. How are you going to be different? Are you going to save more? Are you going to spend less? Are you going to do the things you want to do? Are you going to save for that car that you always wanted? How are you going to make the new year about your new financial status? Okay. And one simple way you can save a little bit of money next year is to take up the 1p challenge. If you haven't heard about this, the way it works is on January 1st, you put 1p into a box. On January 2nd, you put 2p into a box. On the 3rd, you put 3p in, and it carries on and on and on until you get to the end of the year. If you manage to do that, increasing how much you put in by a penny every day, after 1 year, you will have saved a grand total of £667.95 just by doing that 1p, 2p, 3p saving every single day. Now, you can go online, search for this 1p saving challenge, and you can find printouts if you want, so you can print them out and leave them by your saving jar, so you can tick off when you've got all your numbers in. But some form of saving challenge might be the way to make your new year better for finance. Who knows? It's up to you, but whatever you do with your resolution, make sure it's realistic. Make sure you're going to be able to stick to it, because otherwise you'll just be disappointed when you get to the new year and you can't stick to what you said you're going to do. So have a think about it, and the saving challenge might be an easy one to go for. So those are some kind of top tips about how to uncancel your festivities this year. We're going to give you the last kind of 3 top tips in a second, but before we do, we have something a little bit different for this week's Real Talk. So here we go. Now, we have something a little bit different for this edition of Real Talk. We were hoping to interview Jerome from the Topi project. We had a few technical gremlins, I'm afraid, so we haven't been able to do an interview to show you. However, we asked Jerome to send us a video telling us a little bit about what the Topi project does and what they'll be doing over this Christmas, and we thought we'd share that with you instead. So, without further ado, I introduce Jerome from the Topi project.
My name is Jerome Harvey J, and I am from the Topi project. The Topi project was set up in memory of one of our friends, Topi, who killed himself in 2010. So we decided that we wanted to spread love throughout the year. And we've been running the Topi project since 2012. And it's all about giving Christmas back to care leavers and helping support loneliness at Christmas. So it's founded on the basis of love, and that when you leave the care system, you don't normally have the family like everyone else does, and Christmas is that time when it's heightened. So what we do is, at the Topi project, we create a space of love, nurture, no agenda, just building deep connections and having a good time. So since 2012, we've been running it for over the last 8 years now, and unfortunately, of course, this year we cannot run it in a physical capacity. So what we're doing is we're running a virtual Christmas with a set of partners via Hillsong, and it's called Together at Christmas at Home. So what we'll be doing is creating hampers that we'll be delivering on Christmas Eve and maybe the day before Christmas Eve, and you might see me dressed up as Ali G, dropping over the Christmas gifts. We will, in the gifts, we will have like letters of love and different gifts, and then we'll have a food parcel which will be prepared by a Michelin star chef. So a chef that is top range, and he will do a video on how to finish it off. So on Christmas Day, if you struggle with, preparing your own food, you already have one prepared, and he will show you how to finish it off on a pre-recorded video. On actual Christmas Day, we will be doing live Zooms with different sessions, things like Zumba, bingo, games, online games. So for those who can access online, it will be great. For those who want a phone call, our volunteers will be calling people to just check in and see how they're doing, and just to say, hey, Merry Christmas. And also we'll be making partnerships and connections with phone lines and other people that can offer support. So what we'll be doing is making sure that although we can't be there physically, that we can actually be there in some way or capacity. It's a really tough year, and it's been a year of what I would say purging and revealing a lot of what's not been dealt with within ourselves. So there's what I call removing the mask, which is yourself, and being able to be your vulnerable, authentic self, and also find peace and love within that. But also there's something about the system, removing the illusion of the system, and so the system there's been lots of stuff coming out in relation to the system and how it struggled to support young people, but also does the systemic bureaucracies care about us? And the system doesn't, but there's people in the system that do. So what we're here to do is really help people to build deep meaningful connections, and start to turn the tide on this trauma, pain, fear, division. It's been a lot of that this year, and that is just revealing like what people are feeling inside. Now let's try and turn that into something positive. So our thing is pain to positivity. Acknowledge the pain, because you can't move forwards without knowing what it is that has got you stuck in the first place. So acknowledge it, but don't stay there. It's time to move forward. It's time to turn that pain into positivity. It's time to use that pain as your power, because a lot of people, like for instance with me, I went through a lot of trauma growing up in care, and I didn't realize that gave me a gift of awareness and tuning into people, seeing people's authentic selves and being able to show love in a way that penetrates the mask, so that it just helps people to see like, oh, that's a real one right there, So I just want to say thank you for surviving this year. Thank you for being amazing, for being heroes. And this is just the beginning of the next part of the journey. The love, we are pledging to offer people love next year. We're gonna bring the love in different capacities. And I just want to send love, Merry Christmas, and keep growing and glowing. And there's a phrase that I have, which is grow through what you go through, and we got this.
Thank you very much, Jerome, for sending that in. Really, really appreciate you giving us the time to do that for us. And just to kind of a few things. First of all, can I get one of those boxes? A Michelin star chef meal sounds like a good bet this year. Although, to be fair, my wife's not that bad, so I shouldn't really complain. I can't stress enough how much we agree with Jerome on some of those points in terms of you shouldn't make sure if you have a chance to be with someone, you take the opportunity, use the help that's offered to you, and especially if you're a care leaver at this very difficult time of year, don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to say, I'm not doing okay, and to get some help. And the other thing I loved about Jerome's video is he talked about acknowledging the stuff that you've been going through this year. You guys have all hustled so hard to keep yourself going through a very, very difficult year, and especially those who are leaving care, but also anyone else. Acknowledge your pain and know that it's okay to not be okay right now, and that, find the support that you need to become okay. Again, my thanks to Jerome. A few pieces of information. If you want to help out or contact the project in any way, shape or form, here's what you're going to need to know. If you'd like to refer a young person who you think might do well from having a care package or being involved with the Topia project this year, you can refer them with the link at the top. I suggest you pause if you're watching on YouTube and take the link down. It's a rather long link. If you'd like to donate anything, time or money, or I think hampers is what they're looking for, you can email the topiaproject@gmail.com. And if you want any more information, it's www.hillsong.com/UK/DE/ Christmas. I just want to say a big thank you again to Jerome, and I hope it all goes really well. And to all those people in the Toby Project having Christmas, hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful time. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Let's take it into top tips, and then we're all good. Okay, so here are my top 3 tips for having a decent festive season in 2020. Number 1, don't go broke in 2021 celebrating the last 2 weeks of 2020. It's very easy to get swept away and carried away, especially given the year we've all just had. But do think about how much you're spending now, and is that going to hurt you in the new year? You don't want to leave yourself broke next year for the sake of a couple of parties this year. So just think about how much you're spending. And as always, plan your finances in advance. Okay. Number 2, no matter what you're doing, it's going to be different. It's going to be slightly off. It's going to be slightly weird. It's going to be a new experience. Embrace the random. Things are going to be potentially, this might be the only year it's like this. So find the silver linings and find the positives and try to minimize those negatives as much as possible by embracing the change and the randomness in it all. And no matter what you're celebrating this festive season, whether that's Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or anything in between, have a wonderful, wonderful time of year. Do look after yourselves and remember that it's not all about the money. It's all about people. So don't stress too much if you can't afford to buy presents for people. Just remember to be there for people. And I'm sure they'll appreciate that a lot. And that's it. That's how you're going to survive this festive season. And with that, we're at the show's end. So let's get to the end of the show. And that's it. That's another Moneycast over and another year down. We're going to be back in the new year with new Moneycast episodes every 2 weeks. So please make sure that you know where you're going to find them. You're going to find them on all these social media channels. Make sure you sign up to those so you know when we're about to go live next. And if you have any suggestions, any comments, anything you want to tell us, send us an email at info@mybank.org and we'll make sure we can work those into the show. As always, I've been your host, Nick Smith Patel, saying thanks very much for joining us. Enjoy all your festivities. And as always, stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.